He was always responsible, hardworking, and honest. Yet bankruptcy came quietly, crushing his dreams and hope without warning. How can someone so dedicated end up broken? This is the story of ordinary people facing sudden financial collapse and needing to find a way back before it's too late. The journey begins now. Are you ready to see what most miss? When Sarah glanced at her bank statement that morning, everything seemed normal. The numbers didn't scream crisis, bills were paid on time, her paycheck arrived steadily. Yet, beneath the calm surface, warning signs had been quietly piling up for months. What many don't realize is that bankruptcy rarely arrives like a sudden storm, it's more like a slow leak in a tire, invisible until it flattens completely. Experts estimate that nearly 60% of bankruptcies in the U.S. are preceded by subtle financial alarms people often overlook. Sarah's story was not unique. A mid-level manager in a suburban town, she had always prided herself on careful budgeting and saving. But subtle shifts in her financial health crept in unnoticed. Her credit card balances were inching higher month after month. Small emergency expenses chipped away at her savings. Meanwhile, her income remained stagnant, failing to keep pace with inflation. The red flags were there. If only she had known how to read them. Studies show that 75% of people who declare bankruptcy were, like Sarah, unaware of how close they were to financial collapse. The feeling of everything is under control often masks dangerous realities. Sometimes, it's the comfort of regular paychecks that dulls the urgency, lulling individuals into a false sense of security. But a paycheck alone isn't a guarantee. The National Endowment for Financial Education reveals that 68% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, meaning any disruption, loss of job, medical emergency, or unexpected repairs, can quickly spiral into crisis. So, what are the key signs to watch for when bankruptcy looms, even if your life seems normal? First, steadily increasing debt without a clear plan to reduce it is a glaring alarm. Sarah's credit card debt, growing silently, was her undoing. Second, a depletion of emergency funds. The invisible safety net signals trouble. Financial advisors recommend having at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved, but Sarah's savings evaporated after her son's medical bills. Third, ignoring bills or making only minimum payments compounds the problem, pushing interest and fees higher. This snowball effect accelerates the slide toward insolvency. Recognizing these signs early can change everything. Instead of waiting for a crisis to hit, Sarah could have taken proactive steps. Financial literacy programs highlight the importance of tracking all expenses meticulously and setting realistic budgets that adapt to changing circumstances. Using simple tools like expense tracking apps or spreadsheets creates visibility where there once was blind trust. Another practical approach is seeking help from credit counselors who specialize in debt management before problems escalate. Sarah's turning point came after a conversation with a close friend who urged her to confront reality. She began documenting every dollar she earned and spent, exposing hidden leaks in her budget. By acknowledging the problem instead of hiding from it, she regained control. Statistics back this approach. Individuals who engage in early financial intervention reduce their chances of bankruptcy by nearly 40%. Small, intentional changes can reverse the trajectory. However, identifying the warning signs is only the first battle. The emotional toll is immense. The creeping dread of insolvency often breeds shame and denial, making it hard to seek help. Sarah battled feelings of failure, even though her circumstances were not due to irresponsibility but a combination of invisible forces, medical emergencies, wage stagnation, and economic downturn. Understanding this helps dismantle the stigma around bankruptcy, encouraging people to face reality with courage and practical steps. In the first days after realizing bankruptcy is imminent, clarity is crucial. Panic leads to impulsive decisions, like maxing out credit cards or hiding bills, which worsen the situation. Instead, taking a moment to breathe and map out immediate priorities provides a foundation to rebuild. The next chapter will explore exactly what to do in those critical first 72 hours after the fall, when the path from despair to recovery begins. Sarah's story is a warning and a beacon. Bankruptcy often comes silently, disguised behind everyday normalcy. But with awareness and action, the fall is not final. Recognizing the signs early is the lifeline that can prevent complete collapse, and start the journey to recovery. Jason never imagined that being honest and hardworking would lead him to the brink of financial ruin. A small business owner in Ohio, he followed every rule, paid taxes on time, avoided unnecessary expenses, and built a reputation for integrity. Yet, despite all efforts, bankruptcy loomed. How could someone so responsible face such a harsh outcome? The answer lies in what experts call the invisible causes. Underlying factors that silently erode financial stability for even the most careful individuals. Economic studies reveal a paradox: being a good person financially doesn't always shield you from collapse. According to the U.S. bankruptcy court records, a significant percentage of bankruptcies involve people with no history of reckless spending or fraud. Instead, the triggers are often subtle: medical crises, sudden job loss, or systemic economic changes that outpace personal control. For Jason, it was a medical emergency, an unexpected surgery that drained his savings and forced him to take out high-interest loans just to keep his business afloat. Behind the scenes, hidden forces weave a dangerous web. Behavioral economists identify that many good people fall victim to cognitive biases. Optimism bias makes them underestimate risks, while loss aversion causes them to delay tough financial decisions. Jason kept believing the surgery bills would be a one-time hit, but mounting debts told a different story. Meanwhile, rising inflation and supply chain disruptions squeezed his profit margins, invisible to daily operations but deadly over time. Data from the Federal Reserve shows that nearly 40% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency without borrowing. This statistic is a glaring indicator that many live on precarious financial edges, regardless of character or effort. Jason's case highlights another hidden cause: lack of financial resilience, often linked to inadequate emergency funds and dependence on credit. Being good with money doesn't automatically mean having a buffer. Many assume that steady income equals security, not realizing how fast circumstances can change. Social pressures add another layer of risk. Good people often prioritize others over themselves, whether it's helping family members or maintaining appearances. Jason had co-signed loans for relatives and extended credit to loyal customers, stretching his resources thin. This generosity, while admirable, quietly weakened his financial foundation. Psychologists call this the social trap, when social obligations drive people to decisions that undermine their own well-being. What do experts suggest to counter these invisible causes? First, awareness is crucial. Jason's wake-up call came when he started working with a financial advisor who helped him identify vulnerabilities hidden beneath good habits. They restructured his debts, prioritized building an emergency fund, and implemented stress testing for his business cash flow. Techniques like scenario planning, visualizing best and worst-case financial outcomes, gave Jason tools to face uncertainty realistically, rather than hope for the best. Secondly, changing mindset is key. Jason learned to separate his self-worth from financial outcomes. Bankruptcy was not a failure of character but a challenge to overcome. Support groups and counseling helped him process feelings of shame and regain confidence. Statistics indicate that people who seek emotional support during financial crises recover more quickly and make better decisions. Finally, transparency matters. Good people tend to avoid discussing money problems openly, but Jason's experience showed that honest conversations with creditors and loved ones can create unexpected solutions. Negotiating payment plans or seeking professional help early can ease pressure and prevent cascading debt. In sum, the causes of bankruptcy among good people are complex and often hidden beneath the surface. Economic shocks, cognitive biases, social obligations, and lack of preparedness form a perfect storm. Yet understanding these factors empowers individuals like Jason to break the cycle and build lasting financial resilience. As Jason prepares to rebuild, he knows the battle is far from over, but awareness has given him a critical advantage. The next chapter will dive into what to do in those first crucial 72 hours after bankruptcy hits, a time when clear thinking can set the stage for recovery. When Mark sat at his kitchen table the morning after the court declared his bankruptcy, the weight of reality hit him like a freight train. The papers in his hands were not just legal documents, they were the final proof of a dream crumbling. Yet, amid the swirling panic, a critical choice stood before him: succumb to despair or take deliberate action in the first 72 hours. Experts agree those first days are decisive. How one responds can mark the difference between recovery and further collapse. Statistics underscore this urgency. Research from the National Bureau of Economic Research reveals that individuals who take structured, thoughtful steps immediately after bankruptcy have a 50% higher chance of financial recovery within 2 years. Yet emotional turmoil often clouds judgment, driving many to impulsive decisions that worsen their plight. Mark knew this well. He had seen friends spiral into credit card debt and risky loans, chasing quick fixes instead of steady solutions. The first technique Mark learned to apply was what financial counselors call mental triage. Instead of trying to solve everything at once, he focused on identifying urgent issues, ensuring basic living expenses, protecting essential assets, and avoiding new debts. The overwhelming feeling of having lost it all can paralyze, but breaking problems into manageable pieces restores control. Mark created a simple list: housing, food, utilities, prioritizing payments that kept his life stable. Another critical step was seeking professional guidance immediately. Many feel shame about bankruptcy, hesitating to reach out for help, but experts warn this only deepens the crisis. Mark contacted a certified credit counselor the day after his bankruptcy was finalized. Through their support, he understood his legal rights and options, such as negotiating with creditors who might still be willing to work out payment plans or reduce penalties. This knowledge transformed fear into empowerment. Equally important was managing the emotional storm. The psychological toll of bankruptcy is profound. Feelings of failure, anxiety, and isolation can overwhelm. Mark found solace in support groups and therapy, where sharing his experience lifted the burden of shame and replaced it with community and encouragement. Studies from the American Psychological Association show that individuals who address the emotional aspects of financial distress are more resilient and motivated to rebuild. Mark also took control of his information flow. Instead of avoiding bills or hiding from his financial reality, he committed to reviewing every document carefully. Ignoring statements or making only minimum payments can lead to mounting penalties and legal trouble. Transparency, even when painful, is a powerful tool to prevent further damage. Mark set up a secure folder for all his financial papers and scheduled weekly reviews to track his progress. One lesser-known but vital tactic in the immediate aftermath is reframing mindset. Rather than seeing bankruptcy as a personal failure, Mark reminded himself it was a temporary setback, a reset button. This shift reduces fear and encourages proactive steps. He began visualizing a future where financial stability returned, bolstered by lessons learned. Cognitive behavioral therapy techniques, often used in financial coaching, help change destructive thought patterns and build confidence. As the hours and days passed, Mark understood that the first 72 hours were not about magic fixes but about laying a foundation of clarity, support, and resilience. This period shaped his path forward and helped avoid the desperate mistakes many make. He was learning to navigate the ruins with purpose. Mark's experience shows that while bankruptcy is devastating, the initial response can transform it into a turning point. The next chapter will explore practical financial education techniques. Simple, actionable steps that help rebuild from the ground up, turning hope into real progress. After surviving the storm of bankruptcy, Sarah faced a daunting question: how to rebuild her shattered financial life with limited resources and a mountain of uncertainty. As a single mother in Texas, she knew the path wouldn't be easy, but education and practical strategies became her lifeline. Sarah's journey illustrates the power of financial knowledge when rebuilding from rock bottom, a truth backed by data and expert advice. Financial illiteracy is one of the most underestimated causes of continued hardship after bankruptcy. Studies show that nearly 60% of Americans struggle with basic money management, from budgeting to understanding credit scores. Sarah was no exception. Her financial struggles were compounded by years of neglecting these critical skills, trusting that steady work alone would sustain her. The first step in her recovery was admitting this gap and committing to learning. She started by taking advantage of free resources, community workshops, online courses, and nonprofit counseling. What Sarah discovered was that financial education is not just about numbers but about changing habits and mindset. For example, tracking daily expenses revealed hidden leaks in her budget, small daily coffees and impulse buys that, over time, drained funds meant for essentials. This simple awareness sparked a shift towards intentional spending. A key practical technique Sarah applied was the zero-based budget method, where every dollar has a purpose. Unlike vague budgeting, zero-based budgeting demands that income minus expenses equals zero, forcing careful allocation and prioritization. This approach gave Sarah clarity and control, ensuring bills, groceries, and savings all had designated places. Experts recommend this method because it prevents the common pitfall of ghost expenses. Unnoticed, recurring small charges that derail budgets. Credit rebuilding was another crucial focus. Bankruptcy leaves scars on credit reports that can linger for years, but strategic actions can hasten recovery. Sarah opened a secured credit card, a tool designed to rebuild credit safely, by using it for small purchases and paying off the balance monthly. This disciplined behavior slowly improved her credit score, which is vital for future loans or housing opportunities. According to FICO, responsible use of credit cards can raise scores by up to 100 points within a year. Sarah also embraced automation, setting up direct deposits for bills and savings, minimizing the risk of missed payments or forgotten contributions. Automation reduces stress and fosters consistent financial habits, key for those recovering from crisis. Behavioral economists highlight that making positive financial behaviors easy and automatic leads to higher success rates. Another vital lesson was creating an emergency fund. While daunting at first, Sarah started small, saving just $25 a week, gradually building a cushion for unexpected expenses. The U.S. Financial Health Network reports that even a modest emergency fund significantly reduces financial stress and prevents reliance on high-interest debt during crises. Throughout her journey, Sarah combined practical education with emotional resilience. She kept a journal to track progress and setbacks, celebrating small victories to stay motivated. Her financial advisor encouraged her to view money not as a source of fear but as a tool for freedom and security. This mindset shift transformed Sarah's approach from survival mode to strategic growth. Sarah's story proves that financial education after bankruptcy is more than learning math, it's about empowerment, discipline, and hope. By embracing knowledge and practical tools, she turned her crisis into a foundation for a stronger future. Yet, rebuilding income streams remained a challenge. The next chapter will explore inspiring stories of people who reinvented their careers and found new sources of revenue after hitting rock bottom. After losing his business, David felt trapped in a cycle of debt and diminishing hope. Yet within months, he managed a remarkable turnaround, not through luck, but by discovering new ways to generate income. David's story exemplifies how resilience and creativity can unlock opportunities, even after financial devastation. His experience mirrors a growing trend, pivoting careers and diversifying income as a lifeline. According to a 2023 report by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, nearly 40% of Americans have changed jobs or industries in response to financial hardship. Many who face bankruptcy find traditional employment insufficient and explore side hustles, freelance gigs, or entrepreneurial ventures to regain control. David was one of them. His first step was recognizing that sticking solely to his old business model was a dead end. David began exploring the gig economy, where platforms like Uber, TaskRabbit, and Fiverr offered flexible opportunities to earn money quickly. Though the pay wasn't high at first, it provided crucial cash flow and rebuilt his confidence. Experts emphasize the importance of short-term liquidity in the wake of bankruptcy to stabilize finances and avoid further debt. But David didn't stop there. Drawing on his skills in marketing and design, he launched an online store selling custom artwork. This pivot combined passion with practicality, allowing him to create a steady revenue stream from a low-overhead operation. His story reflects findings from a 2022 study by the Small Business Administration, which reports that 60% of new small businesses started after personal financial crises survive beyond 5 years due to adaptability and niche focus. Networking played a key role in David's comeback. Through local meetups and online communities, he connected with mentors and peers who provided guidance and encouragement. This support system was vital in overcoming the isolation that bankruptcy often brings. Psychological research shows that social connections bolster motivation and reduce stress during financial recovery. David also leveraged government and nonprofit programs designed to assist entrepreneurs recovering from bankruptcy. Grants, microloans, and business counseling gave him access to resources that might otherwise have been out of reach. Awareness of such programs remains low among many struggling individuals, which can prolong recovery. His proactive search for help accelerated his progress. Moreover, David cultivated a disciplined schedule balancing his side jobs, business development, and self-care. This holistic approach prevented burnout and kept his focus sharp. Financial experts advocate for balance because stress and fatigue can derail even the best-laid plans. David's experience demonstrates that creating new income sources after bankruptcy isn't just possible, it can be transformative. It requires openness to change, practical skills, and the willingness to seek support. His journey from despair to hope offers a blueprint for many facing similar battles. Next, the series will conclude by exploring how to build a secure future after financial crisis. Focusing on mindset, habits, and sustainable plans that prevent relapse and foster lasting stability. After years of struggle, Lisa stood at a crossroads, no longer defined by her past bankruptcy, but by the future she was determined to build. As a middle school teacher in Ohio, she had experienced the crushing weight of debt and despair firsthand. But what set Lisa apart was her unwavering commitment to rewrite her financial story, transforming crisis into a fresh start. Her journey illustrates how mindset and sustainable habits become the foundation of lasting stability. Recovering from bankruptcy is often seen as a finish line, but for many, it marks the beginning of a new chapter, one requiring intentional choices every day. Lisa learned that true security comes not from sudden windfalls but from consistent, small actions repeated over time. Behavioral economists agree, long-term financial health depends more on daily habits than on occasional financial windfalls. One of the most important shifts Lisa made was adopting a growth mindset. A belief that skills, including financial acumen, can be developed through effort and learning. This empowered her to see setbacks as opportunities for growth rather than failures. Research from Stanford University highlights that individuals with a growth mindset are more resilient in the face of financial adversity, persisting longer and making wiser choices. Lisa also prioritized building strong routines. She automated bill payments, scheduled monthly budget reviews, and set clear savings goals, which reduced stress and improved control over her finances. Automation, as psychologists note, turns good intentions into reliable actions, minimizing the risk of human error or forgetfulness. Importantly, Lisa focused on emergency preparedness, maintaining an emergency fund equal to at least 3 months' expenses. This cushion, difficult to build but invaluable in times of crisis, provides peace of mind and reduces reliance on high-interest credit when unexpected events occur. According to a survey by the Federal Reserve, nearly 40% of Americans cannot cover a $400 emergency expense, underscoring the importance of this safety net. Beyond numbers, Lisa nurtured her financial confidence by celebrating progress and forgiving setbacks. She journaled her goals and milestones, using positive reinforcement to maintain motivation. Mental health experts emphasize that combining emotional resilience with financial planning leads to better outcomes and reduces anxiety related to money. Lisa's transformation culminated in a clear, actionable plan: diversified income streams, ongoing education, prudent spending, and mindful saving. She became an advocate for financial literacy in her community, teaching others what she learned through hard experience. Her story proves that bankruptcy is not an end but a catalyst for deeper understanding and empowerment. In closing, rebuilding after bankruptcy demands a holistic approach: mindset, habits, support, and practical strategies. It's a journey of patience, perseverance, and hope. As more individuals like Lisa embrace this path, they rewrite not only their own futures but the narrative of financial recovery itself.